going to be a relatively quick video this week, I think, my lovelies. I have been making a lot of videos that were quite lengthy, quite, you know, relatively pre-planned. I mean, you know that I don't script or really plan properly for my videos at all. I like to talk off the cuff, but most of it I feel like I've been wading through a lot of different material that I wanted to kind of touch on, and I had a lot of kind of planned stuff. And yeah, I'm pre-recording for the next few weeks. I'm going to take a break over the kind of Christmas weekend, but I'm pre-recording this week's, and then the video that's going to be coming out at the beginning of January. And I just feel like having a chatty one, just being a bit relaxed, having a bit of a chat about where I'm at spiritually this week, today, just yeah, you know, in general, and my thoughts on the solstice, such as they are. They're not, you know, nothing too extravagant, nothing major, and yeah, I think that's all that I'm going to do in this particular video. So I know that I've been mentioning a lot in recent videos about how I have been really looking forward to having more time and more energy, being able to focus more on my spiritual practice, develop a daily practice again, start reading tarot again. You know, there's all this new stuff that I'm really looking forward to getting into. But to be completely honest with you, it really just hasn't happened yet. I haven't really had the time yet. Like, this is the thing about a PhD. It just, the end just never really comes. Like, you just always have one more step and one more step and one more step, and I think I'm completely done now, apart from, of course there's always an apart from the admin part, but basically this is a long way of saying that you know, I still haven't started a proper daily practice again. I still haven't found myself spending more time at the altar. I haven't been reading much. I haven't really had that kind of mental space yet. It hasn't had time to develop yet. For me, I'm thinking that over the Yule period, I'm really hoping that that is going to kind of come into fruition for me then. I'm going to be taking a long holiday, so those of you who are clients or who are, you know, reading the newsletter will know that I've said that I'm going to be taking I think almost 4 weeks. I can't remember the exact dates because it's a little bit fluid in terms of when I come back to the desk and when I actually start up mentoring sessions again. But I'm taking off like a solid 3 weeks anyway, because I just need some time where I'm not doing any kind of work, where I'm not like reading emails, I'm not going on YouTube, I'm not, you know, just none of it. I just need a bit of a break after completely finishing the PhD and all of that. I just need to kind of reset. But I kind of don't want to spend this time just sitting back and watching Netflix and playing computer games or anything like that. Like, I don't want to just completely switch off during this time. I don't really feel like I need to. I'm lucky that the PhD kind of really petered out slowly for me in a way. I'm quite lucky that that's how it worked, that there never was that kind of big quick fast rush towards the end. It was just a slow plodding towards the end, and I did have a few weeks where I could basically barely function after submitting, an exhaustion to a level that I was just not anticipating, which I think is psychological, you know, more than anything. But I don't feel burnt out in the way that I might. So I basically don't need to be taking the type of rest that I thought that I would be needing to take, like the kind of rest that I was planning on taking. I mean, that was my plan originally, was just Netflix, computer games, long walks, and that's it. Like, sit, nap by the fire and just do nothing and just eat. Instead, I'm actually hoping that I might use this time to get back into some habits that I have kind of lost over the PhD, that I'm going to get back into habits like reading spiritually oriented texts, you know, reading books that kind of ignite that spiritual fire in me again, reading tarot for myself, things like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff like that that I really just haven't been putting the time into. I won't really have an altar, so to speak, down in Kerry. That's where I'm going to be for the Christmas period, for the Yule period, but I'm okay with that. Like, altar work is, I'm like, I've less resistance towards. I'm like, I still have been doing that, that's fine. You know, that I've got that down. I think what I don't have down is the kind of, well, the faith food, actually. A client recently reminded me of my faith food series. I had reminded myself of it as well, because I do periodically kind of go through my old videos, whether I'm searching for a particular video to link to something or just out of curiosity because I'm trying to remember something that I said at one point. And I did stumble on a couple of the faith food videos and think to myself, like, gosh, yeah, I haven't made one of those in a long time. And it was an idea I had that didn't fully take off, I think, but I think it was a really valid one. I think I I was right to think that I needed something like faith food. And that's exactly what I'm hoping to do, I think, over this period, is to just kind of build up that sense of reverence in myself again, and kind of feed that kind of pantheistic faith, I suppose, in myself again. So this is something I've been thinking about over the last few days, is just how easy it is to kind of get out of touch with our sense of our spirituality, and how sometimes we can feel like we're kind of going through the motions because we've lost the connection that we've lost connection with maybe the materials and the discourses that put us onto this path in the first place. And unfortunately, some of those places like no longer exist for me. Like Mystic Wicks, the Mystic Wicks forum was a big one for me back in the day. Gosh, I haven't even checked if it's still available online. It certainly was basically dead the last time I looked. I really hope that I can access it through like the archive.org or something if it's completely gone, because the pantheism forum on that website, on that forum, there was like a pantheism sub-forum, and it was hugely inspirational for me. And then also Witchfox, Witchfox is gone. So a lot of those kind of early inspirations for me are kind of gone at this point, that they're no longer in existence. And so sometimes it can be hard to actually get myself back into that mindset. But while I like the idea also of just finding new books, of finding new ideas, and not just having to kind of retrace my steps and pull out the old books that I read and so on, although there's definitely value to be found in that as well. What I'm kind of hoping is to maybe expand my reading horizons a little bit and pick out some of the kind of threads, some of the kind of ideas that I was being so inspired by back then through those websites, and find books and so on that follow up some of those themes, and just sort of dig into some of those areas of literature and find myself just new avenues of literature to start reading and so on. Because I just realised that, the problem for me at the moment isn't so much a resistance to doing spiritual practice or to doing spiritual work. I don't really have a resistance to being at the altar, like I said. I have been sitting at the altar pretty much every day and meditating and just doing kind of free form devotional type stuff. But it has been feeling a little bit disconnected. And I think, like I say, the problem is that I'm not tapped into the right kind of mental state. I'm not tapped into the ideas that excited me in the first place. And I think that's partly what led to the real disillusionment that I talked about in a video. I don't remember what it was called, but I'll link it up above. I made a video about the environmental crisis in large part, and just the difficulty sometimes in having an earth-based spirituality in the midst of an environmental crisis, and how that can kind of impact our sense of reverence and what it feels like it means to be an earth-based spiritual practitioner. I think that has changed over the past 10 years, like in the course of my spiritual journey, which has, I suppose, altogether been going on for 16, 17 years at this point. It's been a long time. But it has changed. The meaning of that has changed due to the environmental crisis. But I do think that some of the spiritual pessimism that I've been facing occasionally is not only due to that, but also due to just, not forgetting sometimes what it feels like to think about the world in a certain way. And I think being out in nature helps a lot with this. But it doesn't seem to do it all on its own. I think sometimes I need to be in the right mindset. I can go for a walk in beautiful nature. I mean, where I live, I'm close to a city, but I'm lucky enough to live on the outskirts of that city in a very beautiful area where I'm right by the sea and right by a kind of nature walk type situation. And there are a lot of trees and, it's very beautiful. But I can kind of go out on those walks, and I wouldn't say that I ever go on a walk and don't feel anything. If that ever happens, then I know I need to worry about myself. Like, I know that I really need to address my mental health. So I will generally kind of feel something. But sometimes I feel more than other times, and I've been realising just how much that has to do with reading other people's thoughts and reading other people's ideas, and just expanding my idea of what nature is, and just experiencing other forms of nature and wilder types of nature in my mind's eye, if nowhere else, that I just don't have access to in person. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been thinking just in the last few days even about how, you know, I love the idea of being able to experience true wilderness, but then you have the kind of ethical conundrum of, you know, I could go off chasing areas of the world that have true wilderness so that I can walk in them and be in them and experience them. And I hope to be able to do that kind of thing in the future. But then the problem with that is that in order for me to get to any of those places, I have to travel really huge distances. I mean, I think there certainly are some larger forests in the UK. I mean, Ireland, we don't have any forests. We have some woods. We really don't have any forests anymore. They were completely decimated. Really very early on, they were originally decimated by the Norman invasions. So a long time ago. It's been a long time since we had any serious amount of trees here and any amount of wilderness. So, you know, even in England, there's a little bit more, but I wouldn't really call that true wilderness. You know, you really have to go really quite far afield to get towards anything that looks remotely like wilderness. I mean, obviously we're increasingly getting to the point where, are there any true wildernesses anymore? That's the kind of sad fact of the matter. It's all relative. But yeah, I was just thinking about that, how much I would love to go to certain parts of North America or South America. But you know, even to do that, I have to fly a long distance, and that's not something that I want to be doing, you know, more than maybe once in my lifetime. I don't want to be constantly flying back and forth to all of these very far-flung places. I don't want to go completely crazy with my carbon footprint. And so instead, the only way that I have to experience these other places is through, like I say, my mind's eye, or through film, you know, through watching documentaries and so on. And I really think that that is an important way to expand your idea of the world and to feel inspired. I don't think that it has to be tangible. I don't think it has to be something that you're actually feeling necessarily with your body. And I think that's where I've been missing out a lot in the last few years. I kept thinking that all I needed was to be in nature and then to make time to be in front of the altar, and that the two things would just magically connect to one another. But of course they don't. You know, developing my spiritual practice, developing my spiritual framework, it really took quite a number of years. It took really a long time, and a lot of effort and a lot of thinking and a lot of reading. You know, I read a lot of online blog posts and articles and forum posts, as well as the books that I read as well. So a huge amount of thinking about other people's ideas and being inspired by other people's ideas. That plays a huge role, I think, in the construction of any kind of religion. I think it's exciting to come up with these things by ourselves, but most of us require inspiration from others. And I think, to me, that's one of the most exciting things about life, is that we have the ability to interact with other people's ideas and to have our lives be touched by other people's ideas. And that is, yeah, it's one of my favourite things in life. And I want to start making more of that. So yeah, I might start making faith food videos again if my plan is successful. I would like to hold myself accountable, maybe, to actually do that reading that I'm hoping to do while I'm down in Kerry. I mean, I want to give myself some kind of relaxing time as well, but yeah, I haven't been feeling the need for that lately. Like I say, I've been feeling this yearning for enriching my mind rather than just switching it off. So yeah, that's going to be my plan for the solstice period, basically. I said I was going to talk about the solstice. I don't think I am, really. I don't think I really have that much to say about it apart from that. I think I made quite a comprehensive video about it last year, about my associations with it and this time of year and all of that, the symbolism attached to it, or that I attach to it, and so on. So you can find that up above in the linky thing if I remember to find it and link it. But I think I'm just really going to be honing in on that idea of the solstice as a new beginning, and the new year as a new beginning. You know, I have been going through this kind of transitional phase myself personally, obviously since submitting the PhD back in October, right through to kind of finishing the corrections now in December. And yeah, I'm really hoping to enter into a very new and exciting phase when it comes to my spiritual practice, my spiritual thoughts, and just how I'm engaging my mind on a day-to-day basis. That's kind of the biggest change that I want to make, and I'm really seeing the solstice as this kind of opportunity for rebirth, and this opportunity to kind of turn around what has been, for me personally, over the past 4 years, you know, quite a dark period, and what has been for the entire world a very dark year. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be focusing on that when it comes to the solstice. I love the winter solstice. I'm a little bit disappointed that I won't be at my usual altar this year. I am going to be in my parents' house. I don't think I've ever tried to do a ritual in the garden shed in December. Luckily it doesn't get very cold down in Kerry, so hopefully it'll be fine. I'll just have to kind of wrap up because there's no electricity, there's no heating in there, nothing. So I'm just gonna have to wear a lot of layers, light a lot of candles, and keep it short. So I'm a little bit sad that it's not going to be here at my usual altar, because I usually do lots of stuff with Christmas trees and lights, and it all gets very elaborate. It's not going to be so elaborate this year, but I think I'm going to do other things. I think I'm going to, you know, go for solstice walks and, you know, get up for the sunrise and go out somewhere to watch the sunrise and that kind of thing, which is stuff that I haven't really done. That really brings me back to when I lived in Ranelagh, and back when I first started this channel, and I made a few videos. I made 2 years in a row. I did kind of solstice vlogs, and I brought you out one time, and really kind of shoddy footage on my tablet. I think that I shot it off my tablet. I brought you out to like the park, and I sat in the park and like waited for the sunrise, because that was like the best. In the middle of the city, it's hard to find a good place to be able to see the sunrise. That was the best spot I could find to be able to like look towards the sunrise. I really miss doing those kinds of things, and I want to start doing more of that. I did that with my dad one year as well. We did that from this house, but it was very cloudy that morning, so unfortunately we saw absolutely nothing, but that was still a fun thing to do. So yeah, I'm going to do that this year. I'm going to figure out, I'm already trying to think, like, actually we see the sunrise from the house in Kerry in the winter, so yeah, actually I really don't need to go far. It's just that I kind of might like to have a bit of privacy, so I might kind of walk down the road or something. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think this is going to be a good transition, a good kind of liminal stage, and I'm hoping to come back from this break with a bit of a kind of a reinvigorated, positive spiritual outlook on life. So yeah, I'll leave it there. I don't think this was a short video, was it? Whenever I say it's going to be short, it's always like well over the 20-minute mark, like every single time, and then when I don't mean it for it to be short, it's shorter. I don't know what to tell you, but I hope that you all have a really wonderful solstice wherever you are in the world. And I hope you have just whatever you are celebrating. I hope that you can make the most of it. I hope that you have somebody that you love that you can spend this period with, at the very least. You know, I got sad for the first time the other day about not being able to see my extended family this Christmas, but you know, it is coming with the hope that I know I'm going to be able to see them fairly soon. You know, all of my aunts and uncles are, I think almost all of them are over 70 or over 65 at least, so they will be getting vaccinated in the nearish future. So, you know, there is hope. We're going to see each other fairly soon, and I'm just trying to focus on the positives rather than the negative, and just make the most of what this very different Christmas is going to be for us. So yeah, thanks for watching. I will talk to you again soon. I'm going to take a week's break, so I'm not going to be back making another video until after the new year, so happy new year as well. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching, and take care of yourselves.